and welcome along to the latest edition of Christchurch Xscape's podcast, Locked In With. My name is Ash Gibson. I'm a pastor down at Christchurch Xscape, and in each one of these episodes, we're talking to people about how they're coping in light of this pandemic that has struck us all. And we're just going to chat to people about how they're getting on, if they've got any tips or any wisdoms to share with us. Today, we are locked in with one of our members, Matt Lewney. Welcome, Matt Lewney.
Thank you for having me.
It's so nice to have you. Thanks for doing this. I feel like I know you pretty well. I don't know. I feel like I do. I know you quite well, but I'd love help. So could you give us 5 words that might give us, an insight into the true nature of Matt Lewney? Give us a look behind the door.
Okay. I was just thinking this just then when you were doing the intro. I suddenly thought, oh no, I should have, of all the questions I should have come up with an answer for.
No, these would be better. These will be way better if you've just got to.
For being off the cuff, unprepared. 5 words. First and foremost, probably Scouse. Consider myself Scouse. It's a good coverall.
Scouse. Do you know what does that mean? What does it mean to be Scouse?
Talks too much, likes to try and say something funny as much as possible. Kind of confident in your own opinion, fairly friendly, I would have thought.
I'd
left leaning. These are all things that I think are all Scouse. I know not everybody in Liverpool is left leaning, but that's they're things that I think of as typically Scouse. Yeah.
Okay, that's really helpful. Scouse, number 1. We're off.
What would you think of as Scouse? What springs to mind when you think Scouse? Please don't go down a 1980s theft route.
I think I would be. I guess I don't know. I base it on the people I know from Liverpool, and I would say normally good at football, like either really loves football or good at football. And I had a few customers that were always sort of happy to chat in those words that you've described. So they were always very ebullient and they were generally funny. I would think it must be tough if you're a Scouser and you're not funny. I think you're up against it because you're in the few. But that's very helpful.
That sounds like a warning for me.
You better be funny. So you're a Scouse.
I'm not that good at football. And I felt like that for a long time growing up. You're definitely closer to the top of the pile, I think, as a Scouser if you are good at football.
Right. Okay.
Scouse. How else?
There's more to you than just Scouse.
Yeah, I've realised I am a cliche. I love cliche because all the things that all the stereotypical things that a white middle class man would be. I am all those things. I like to have a beer. I like to watch football. There's a whole list of things. Sometimes I just catch myself and think. When did it dawn on you that you were a? When did it dawn on you that you were a cliche? And what was your reaction? Were you like, oh well, or did you think I need to run from this? Predictability? My reaction was I need to. Actually, my third word, I'd say I am contrary as well. My wife will say I am contrary. Like I always try and take the opposite view. I don't like to be a cliche. And for a while, I think I probably did go against those things.
So you are a cliche, but you are contrary also.
Contrary, so cliche, that's a terrible mixture. Yeah.
It could mean anything, couldn't it? You're maybe it is. Maybe it is a good description. A contrary cliche. So you resist the pattern of life that is before you.
Yeah, I think early on
some levels.
Like as a younger kid, I think I was far from a cliche. So I think that probably set the tone for being contrary. I was okay with the fact that I was very different as a really young boy. I did ballet instead of going and playing football. So all my mates from school went and played football on a Saturday morning, and I went and did 3 hours of ballet, tap, jazz, dancing. But I was okay with that. And that early part of my life was far from cliche. And I think I've just become average white male. And I find that really disappointing because of my contrary nature. I think, you should be better than that. Should be different.
But I think maybe because of your contrary nature, you're just more aware of it and fighting against it.
Yeah,
or will continue to fight against it. So you got 2 more words left to encapsulate the heart
words. Of you. Arty. I'm trying to think of a better word to describe that, but I like the arts. I'm a big supporter of the arts. I like being creative. I love singing. I love playing guitar. I love dancing. I love galleries, and I love the theatre. I love film. Like anything creative and artistic. I love it.
You like doing it, and you like being moved by it, or both things.
Yeah, I don't like doing all of it. Well, like you and I went to the poetry night at the Red Shed. I love going to the Red Shed. I love listening to poetry, but I am not a writer of poetry. I've never been one. I'm not very good at it.
But you like consuming that kind of stuff.
Yeah. I love reading poetry. I love listening to it. Even the really bad stuff. I love it.
Even the bad stuff. Well, that, yeah, you must.
Even the bad stuff. Well, part of that is the fact that I really admire anyone who can just be openly creative, particularly when people are like making works of art that are about themselves or about their own situation. It's just a really vulnerable thing to do, and I have huge respect for anybody who can do it. Because I've tried, I've written songs, but I've played one song publicly of my own in my entire life because I wouldn't dare. Like the stuff I write about, I just don't want other people to hear. Yeah. So yeah,
you are very exposed, aren't you? Because you go to a place to create that is, you are very vulnerable because you're talking about something deep within you, and it does feel like you're completely exposed when you. Yeah, I don't think I've written a few poems. I've got a collection of poems about newsreaders. Actually, I think I've told you this before. That
I want to hear. I still haven't heard. I want to hear.
But I haven't. Yeah, I don't think anybody wants to hear them. Yeah, and you do leave yourself out there because you leave yourself vulnerable to people saying, "Oh, that's not." I think the worst thing would be that's just not very good. Or the other thing is you realise that you've said something deeply personal about your perspective. So yeah, it is a brave thing. So, but yeah, being arty is, I think, probably aligned with being a bit brave and being maybe an emotive type. Right, one more word.
Yeah. Well, I'll have that. I'll have emotive. I think I am quite, and I've become more and more ridiculously emotional. I like to think I'm not that old. I'm only just into my 40s, but I don't know, maybe it's circumstance over the last year as well, but I can cry at the slightest thing. And yeah, and I really, really feel for everyone. I painfully feel sometimes hearing about other people's situations or seeing something tragic or painful. Have
you always had that, or is that so? This is
no, I don't think so.
With age,
yeah, I think probably developing with age. I actually think since I became a dad 7 years ago, and yeah, since then, definitely like way more anxious. It's not like I didn't have empathy before, but I think I've become more empathetic and just scared for people. I never had that before. Really frightened for people, just anxious generally.
Oh, okay, so it sounds like two things to me. It sounds like
I wasn't trying to cheat.
No, I'm not picking you up. It's really helpful but I think just the anxiety and empathy that come along at the same time. Maybe they are things that maybe as you have kids or as you see more of the world or as you consider more of the world, both those things can happen. You can get more anxious and.
Yeah, and at one point, I would have looked at people who were empathetic and thought it was a really positive thing. Like, it's great that somebody can be that emotional and really open with how they feel, and clearly they care about people a lot. And now I just think, not to go into too deeply, but certainly 3 or 4 years ago, I was properly depressed as a result of it, just horribly anxious all the time. And now I just think it's not necessarily not that empathy is a bad thing, but being that worried, it's just not. It's a terrible. It's the worry. I suppose that's the key in it. Is not allowing that empathy to tip over into anxiety and worry and fear and all those negative things that are definitely not from God.
Well, but then it does. I think just as you were saying that there, I was thinking of a verse that often stops me in my tracks. It says a couple of times about Jesus that he was full of compassion and he stopped. It says that quite a lot. Whenever often he's on his way somewhere and then filled with compassion, he finds himself stopping and acting. And it does give you a measure of his character, that when we get filled with compassion, there's almost a limit, isn't there? So sometimes I get that if I'm watching one of these fundraisers, Comic Relief or something like that, I'll see somebody else's circumstances and I'll think, I'm struggling. I want to protect my kids from seeing life can get like this, or I want to protect myself, or there's only so much I can take to know that the world gets so rough, and that yet you see Jesus and you go, or at least I go, man, he's always stopping. He doesn't reach a point in his 33 years where the compassion runs out. So anyway, I've made that's the preacher just tripping him in there. Apologies for running on that line, but yeah,
don't apologize for it.
It popped straight into my head as you were talking about that level of compassion. And so do you? I'm guessing then you try and just manage it a little bit now, or are you just aware of it?
Just aware of it and just practicing giving things up and not just holding it all on your own shoulders. That's the beauty of it. I caught myself the other day because Ed, our oldest boy, I'm hoping he's not outside the door listening, but he was, he's been really worried about just stuff he shouldn't be worried about. And I said to him just while he was lying in bed, clearly very worried about these things, really upset about these things. And I just said to him, Jesus cares about all these things. And he does say, just cast it all on him, just give it to him because he cares for you. And as I was saying, it was one of those things of, I know we all have it as Christian parents. You think, I'm giving these words of advice and I don't do it myself. Yeah. And it like choked me at the time because I thought, this is terrible. I know this stuff and I can offer it as advice, but I'm not really quick to do it. But that is the practice, and it does help with my own worries and fears, and just giving it up, just giving it over. You don't have to worry about it.
It's great advice. I share your pain with the kids. I think I don't know how old your kids are, but my kids have reached an age now where I don't just realize it. They actually tell me that I'm not. I don't do it.
Preach.
So, yeah, exactly right. So, Matt, I know about you that you're a Christian. I know that you're married to Liz. I know that you're a father of 3. And I know a few other bits and bobs as well. I know that you're an actor. And I know that you're a footy fan. I'm trying to think. And I would say quite a good footballer as well, even though you're been humble about that. But I don't know how all that comes together. How did you come to be where you are living in Wakefield right now? Can you bottom that in one? If you had to condense down all of those things I've just spoke about there, could you put them into one sentence that says, here's why I am here?
One sentence.
Well, that's the premise of the...
Yeah. Trying to boil all that down in one sentence. It's
going to have some comment in this sentence, isn't it?
I got here by accident. That's probably it. I got here by accident. Everything from me turning 15 to now, they're not life choices. I didn't make those choices. I kind of did, but not knowingly. It all just seems like an accident.
A happy accident, though.
I can go into more detail, but I'm trying to keep it as a sentence.
No, and I've sort of collared you on that and said, look, this is one sentence, but I can, looking back, I can see how that stuff works out. I don't know how you met Liz, but I'm guessing you meet Liz, you make a decision about education or something like that. You make a decision about career, and actually, before you know it, all this stuff happens, and then you live in the life of a cliched white man in the posh part of Wakey. At least that's what I'd say. In
the posh part of Wakey.
It is the posh part of Wakey.
Oh, come on.
Anyway, so how did you get to Xchurch then? How did you get to join? What happened there? Because we're so glad to have you and Liz and the guys that come along with you. But how did it first happen? What was your aim?
Because without going into too much detail, we were just unhappy at our previous church. A lot of things had changed there, and a lot of the teaching had changed there, and we didn't feel like we were growing there. And then we just started a family, and we wanted to find somewhere where we thought we could stay for a long time and where the kids could grow. And we knew Danny and Laura, and they'd said previously, like a long time before, they said, "Oh, you should come to our church." So we just came along and were really welcomed. And I found other Scousers there, which is always a bonus.
Yeah, well, I'm so glad.
Think of like small world, because Yeah, like Rachel's dad used to be the minister at my mum and dad's church before we went there. Just a minister at their church, and that was just like of all the places.
A happy coincidence to find some kindred spirits. Well, I'm really glad all that accidentally fell into place. We're really thankful that you rocked up. So I want you to imagine something, and it's going to take a jump, but bear with. Imagine you are a creative, yeah. So imagine a world where almost out of the blue, a virus, a virus sparks up, and just completely consumes everybody's mind, everything that we can do, the way that we live, meaning that we're all confined to our homes for the foreseeable. I'm going to ask you a few questions about how you would cope in those circumstances. So I want to know, first of all, who are you locked in with? Who do you share this confinement with, Matt?
Not by choice. There's who is actually.
Who is physically?
Who am I stuck with?
Who are you stuck with?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm stuck with Elizabeth, Liz, my wife, my beautiful wife, I should say. My 3 boys, Edward, who is 7, and our twins, Stanley and Oliver, who are 15 months younger than him.
That's the guy. And do you call her Elizabeth often?
No.
Is it when you're angry?
Or I try and... No, not even when I'm angry. I wouldn't call her. Her mum calls her Eliza. I'd occasionally call her Eliza.
But Liz is the go-to.
Liz, or whatever angry name comes to mind. Yeah.
Classic. Okay, cool. So you've got one more delivery from Amazon. One more delivery that you can have. Thinking that you might be locked in, potentially forever. You've got one thing that the guy with the van can bring to the door.
Right. I've got to clarify this. Is this like over and above our general shopping delivery? It's just like nothing else is going to get delivered to your door. This is... If you should I choose like 20 kilos of rice just so that we can stay alive?
That's helpful. I'll clarify the question. So Amazon, who feel like they've got a stronghold on the market, they've cornered the delivery market big time. But they in terms of your deliveries from them, so you can get fruit and vegetables. You're not going to starve on the back of this. But you, in terms of Amazon, you can go them, and they've got lots of stuff. They're the only people I can think of who've got everything, pretty much. I can't imagine there's anything you couldn't get from them. So you've got one more chance to get them. Otherwise, and they've written to you and said, look, we're just fed up with the Lewneys. This pretentious.
They are here every day.
You've become cliched. We're not coming. We're not going to visit you anymore. You've just got one last thing that we will do for you, that we will bring to your door.
Last
so what's delivery. It going to be?
Last delivery. I feel like I shouldn't go for food because we can get food. Guitar.
A guitar? I'm
in the market. I have got a guitar, but I'm in the market for a new guitar now. Yeah.
So you could...
So if I could only get one more thing delivered, that would be it.
If you don't mind me saying, just thinking of your 3 lovely children.
Oh, who cares about them, Ash? They've got their own stuff. You've had so many Amazon deliveries.
You could have a hot tub. You could have, an outdoor house. You could have like a trampoline.
Ash, if they want a happy dad while we're locked in, then
that's the price.
I'm going to need a toy. Yeah.
A guitar from Amazon.
Yeah.
Okay. Well.
No, you're right. No, I've already got a guitar. That's terrible, isn't it? That's the only thing that springs to mind. Though I can't think of anything good for the whole family. I think the premise
of the question is exactly that. I think it works best when you think.
You were just trying to out me as a selfish person. Is that what it was? Yeah, that was the premise.
Yeah. See if he chooses something for himself or his family. It looks like these questions are just thrown together, but actually, I've used all of my psychological training.
It's profiling.
Profiling, and I've established now
you're selling this information.
Matt Lewney. Yeah, so that I can quite imagine the guitar bringing great solace. I play guitar and I'm not very good, but I do find it one of the most relaxing things. But I quickly drive people to distraction. If I play for more than 20 minutes, people ask me to cease playing. So
have you tried tuning it?
No, I think maybe just getting lessons would be helpful. So speaking of music, has there been anything that has, or anything that you've listened to that's really got you through, or anything that's sort of about like a band that you've newly become attracted to, or like just a couple of lines in a song, anything like that that's been a help?
Not really songs. Am I allowed podcasts to listen to?
Yes, yeah, we've had a few people say podcasts.
Yeah, because I have listened to. I mean, I used to listen to podcasts anyway. I'm a big lover of podcasts. I used to listen to the Adam Buxton podcast, which, if you've not listened to, that is the king of all podcasts.
We'll try and add it in the comments below. Adam Buxton. I need to say, I don't even know who he is. I'm so sorry.
Do you ever remember the Adam and Joe show? 90s late night TV.
I feel like I should. It sounds the tiniest bit familiar, but I'm more afraid that if I'd say I've not heard of it, it's going to out me as being less not cool. So
you weren't cool in the 90s. There you go.
Yeah. So Adam Buxton.
Adam Buxton, and this is just a really good podcast because he interviews a really broad range of people, and he gets some properly high-profile people. He's one of these fellas. He's got loads of very famous friends, and so his network is huge.
Very cool.
Well, he's been releasing extra stuff. So, like the last few years, he'd maybe release like one new interview a month, or over a 6-month period, he'd do like one every other week. But yes, during lockdown, he's been deliberately doing more and more and more, just so that people have got more to listen to. And he's helped me out.
We have. Well, that's great. Maybe like on the back of this, a few people will tune into that and get a lift to their spirits. So we're on to the Zoom call. It can be a bit sweary.
I should warn you. It can be a bit sweary. So
all right. So you
choose wisely.
Yeah, that's one of those moments, isn't it? I don't know if you have this where you heartily do the recommendation, and then you've got to watch it with your father or your kids or something like, oh yeah, I didn't know. Or you say it's not normally like this. That's what will happen if somebody go and listen to the Adam Buxton podcast and he starts swearing.
I also listen to Athletico Mints, but I did make a mistake of listening to one of those and then saying to somebody else, it's really funny. And it's somebody from back home who was a Christian. And and then I listened to some of the others and it got so blue. I was like, why have I recommended this?
Yeah, you want to undo that. That's the Bob Mortimer one, right?
Yeah.
Right, okay,
it's very funny, but it's not very polite.
So let's just be clear: we're not
recommending Athletico Mints. Don't listen.
Yeah, we're not recommending that one. No. It's very funny, but try and avoid it. Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, I've vetted it for you. Don't go there.
So the Zoom call question. So you've got, we're all pretty zoomed out, but Zoom again, another bunch of people that have done very well out of the lockdown. Yeah, you've got a Zoom call, and you can have, and I hope you haven't prepped for this. I'd love to hear who you're going to come up with off the top of your head. You've got 3 Bible characters who you can have with you on the Zoom call. Who would you have? Why would you choose these 3 characters, and what would you call the Zoom call?
Okay. And they don't have to be connected, do they? That's how they connect. Zoom call.
The beauty of the question is that it transcends the confines even of the internet, and it goes out further than that. So you can have whoever you would like from the Bible.
David.
King David. You start with King David.
Yeah.
Any reason? Is it his guitar?
He's just no. He's just, to me, like, he is the everyman. He makes all the mistakes and does all the greatest things. He just seems to cover all bases in a bad way.
Just cover the bases, a lot of the time, the highs and the lows.
Yeah, and he's seen it, and poverty, riches, the whole lot.
Yeah, the rise and
friendships,
fall.
loneliness. Yeah, just everything. And he had what seems to be a good relationship with God, or at least a close relationship with God.
Yeah. I guess we don't know all the story, but close relationship with God in the ups for a time, and then a close relationship with God in the downs. Yeah, and I think you could describe him as arty as well. That might be an understatement.
Probably. Probably. Yeah,
in terms of the work of the Psalms, you know what I mean. That's
we don't know whether the tunes are any good, do we? Awful.
No, we
That'd
don't.
be awful. Just monotone. They should always be done monotone. Yeah, it's not bad. Not bad poetry.
Not bad. Yeah, that's a quote for the podcast. Not bad poetry.
The Psalms, not bad poetry.
The psalmist. All right, so you've got David. It's you and David. So you're on first. Yeah. You two are chatting away, and then
it'd have to be David later on, though. It'd have to be after he's had all that experience. So I can
you wouldn't want him as a shepherd boy. You
not
want him
really. No.
You want to have chat with the old man, David.
Yeah, like near the end, David. Just looking back on it all.
A couple of weeks before death.
Yeah, we'll give him that. Give him that. So he's got time for other stuff as well after speaking to me. I don't want that Zoom chat to be his last thing. That would be terrible.
Yeah, just near the end. Near the end. Not. Yeah, we won't want it to be a sad call, would we? We want it to be looking back.
You're not looking
joyfully.
too good, David. Should we say goodbye?
Yeah. We're going to end this now. So you've got David, you and David, and then there's two other people you can add to the chat. You think, we should add these people. While we're on, David, we should add also
Jesus, surely. I know it sounds Sunday school answer, but surely. Do you know what? Actually, Jesus, when he was a kid, I would like to have a chat to. Like Jesus, early teens.
I'm loving the specificity that this question has now produced. So you've gone,
because
not just people, but actual points of people's lives
in that place in time.
Yeah, just
I find him useful. Specific.
Well, I think it's a nice twist on the question. Actually, it's a helpful. We've had this question asked maybe 6-7 times. It's nice that we've moved into a new sort of zone with it. That's really cool. So Jesus so we don't hardly know anything. Well, we don't know lots about Jesus.
No, that's my point. And I think I was conflicted enough as a teenager, as are most teenagers, I think. But I just want to know how much he was aware of and how much he was aware of what had gone before, and that's the question you want to ask. There's just so much to ask. Like, how do you know? Do you fully appreciate who you are? Like, what are you actively avoiding sinful places and situations? And how do you feel about learning a skill, becoming a carpenter? If you know you're just not going to do it, you'll do it for a bit of time, but it's not going to be the most important. How do you get on with practicing that, knowing that it's not actually that important? Because I'd be terrible. I'd have just given up.
That's amazing. What you're saying is there'd just be a million questions that you'd want to ask. Who's coming to terms with how aware of you are your deity. What does that mean for you?
And how was it told to him as well? I would want to be really nosy about that and know what did your mum and dad tell you? And what's his relationship like with Joseph? And what are the chats that go on in that household? Because it's not I don't know, can you just have average, everyday dinner time chat? Or does it all come back to the fact, by the way, we're sat down with the Son of God?
Yes, it does strike me, though, that I guess I don't know him as... there's not much to read of him as a child, but as in his ministry for the last 3 years, he does seem to do a lot of chat. Do you know what I mean? He does seem to be in the moment, I think he covers both bases, doesn't he? He is the Son of God, but at the same time, he's very much he's got dust in his feet and he's tired out and he cries and all this stuff. So I guess exploring the beauty of that concept is where your questions would be. So you've got David and Jesus. You've gone up high with that.
Yeah.
Combo. Who else would add a different flavour to this Zoom chat?
I don't know. There are loads of what seem to be inconsequential people in all of the major Bible stories that I'd like to have a chat with.
The minor characters that just get
just to get there. I think particularly the people who are down as baddies. I want to know what is going on in your head when you make those decisions. If
we've not had a baddie. Nobody's picked a baddie, and I've never even thought of them as baddies. But I know what you're trying to say. Yeah, there is a sense in which you feel like I can't have them on the Zoom call. It'd be a bit tough for them being on the Zoom call, wouldn't it?
Well, it might be a good conversation though. There you go. You got Jesus on with you, so have a chat about what were you thinking, Pilate?
Oh yeah, but it is a really I think one of the reasons the Bible's so interesting is because you have a real hard time dividing up the goodies and the baddies, because so many of look at half the goodies have killed somebody or have done horrific things if you were to describe them as goodies. Do you know what I mean? So it is, but I know like the the Bible does present you with some pantomime villain.
Yeah, because there are those people that I kind of feel sorry for. They become collateral damage, like like Goliath. You just think like he's a soldier. Clearly, his unique selling point is he's a big lad and he can handle himself in a fight.
His USP.
Yeah,
big lad.
So it's probably right that he's presumably born Philistine, and it's right that he goes and fights for them, and then he ends up just becoming like a cautionary tale about don't mess with Israelites, because at no point I don't think was he doing.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I don't at any point was he going, I'm gonna. Well, I don't know. You don't know his mind, do you? I was going to suppose what was going on in his mind, but I could presume that he might only be doing his job, and that maybe all he had going for himself was he was big and he was good in a fight. So that's where he ends up.
Yeah, and he encounters the shepherd boy who's got God on his side.
Yeah. His death is like a mockery, really.
That would be a chat, wouldn't it? Yeah. And what would that? Yeah. What would that? Well, did you think through? Could be a bit orcs. That's the expression, isn't it?
Sorry,
could be a bit orcs, but no. Yeah, I think it is about super interesting how anybody encounters God. How these different tribes sort of the stories of the Old Testament. There's so much harshness to that as I guess we're shown the nature of God and who God is. But there are these fall guys, aren't there, that seem left in the wake, and you think. Is he got redemption? Is there redemption for him? What he seems to have just wandered into it. And I guess the answer, if we know anything about God, is yes. I guess some part of understanding the Bible is realizing that it's inspired by God, and we are being told these stories that shape our thinking. And there's a sense in which they really happened, and also that they inform us about who God is and what people are like. And it's marrying that up can be really tricky sometimes. But yeah. You'd have to call the chat goodies and baddies then, or
goodies and baddies.
Yeah, and you'd have to spend a lot of time
because David can be both. He's goodie and baddie.
Yeah. But the thing is about I think what now I hold on to about Christianity is if you can even conceive of such a thing, and I know we're stretching the limits of our imagination a lot here in a lot of respects, but Jesus is such a character that you could be sure that. His wisdom and his empathy and his compassion would make it the greatest Zoom chat of all time. And
I do find a lot of what Jesus says quite witty. I'm not sure whether it absolutely was intended to be, but there's some good, kind put downs that I think, that is the perfect thing to say in that situation.
Yeah.
Just cut somebody down, but cut them down kindly. It's like to be able to do that is one of the amazing things. It's one of the things I enjoy reading about Jesus.
Yeah, and it's one of those things you think, how do you do that? How do you challenge somebody, and it be right and not make it, not destroy them, build them up, which is what he does. All right, so we've done the Zoom call. We've got 2 questions left. So you've got through. You're still here. You're still in one piece. After, I don't know, 15 months of lockdown or 12 months of whatever it is. Is there anything that this 12 months has taught you about life? Is there any wisdoms that you've picked up along the way?
No,
we've had some really funny answers for this. We've had some really funny answers. Some just like very regular. I think somebody said, it was maybe the last podcast, Ian Goodson said, just the benefits of a big shop. I think that was... Yeah. So some of the lessons are quite earthy.
I was listening to that in the car and wholeheartedly agreeing with him. We need to stop shopping for the bits. Just get a big shop, and that's it.
Big shop. Yeah. Rare bit of wisdom from the pastor of Grace Church.
Yeah. If you take nothing else from that man's life, it's that.
just get a big shop. If we take nothing else from your life... the wisdom that you've gleaned. And what I've done there is I've heaped the pressure and I've gone, tell us something amazingly insightful that everyone listening will go, yes.
Pens at the ready, people.
All that sort of stuff.
No, it's not. But I think I appreciate more our immediate surroundings. I definitely appreciate more. I think everyone went for little walks from their house as a family, which like never do before. But yeah, definitely our immediate surroundings, I know better than I did for 2 years.
Can you imagine suggesting it to the kids or your family before lockdown, like 3 years before lockdown, just like, guys, I've had an idea. Yeah. Why don't we just, the little 3 streets down, then there's a little ginnel that we can go through, and then a field. Yeah. Fancy doing that? They'd all just go, what? That's not a way to spend an afternoon. I'm not going to do that one single time, let alone.
Let's don't we just walk past loads of parked cars, and we can look at the fronts of other people's houses. Yeah. And then you just tell them when we're tired, and we'll turn around and do the whole thing backwards. And yet it's become this beautiful learning experience for people to go and walk where they live. So what is that? That's like, you're in the moment, you're seeing where you live, you've got a bit more time, you can explain stuff to the family, is it that kind of stuff? Is that why it's become a nice thing? I think it's also like, when I lived in Liverpool, I saw a lot of Liverpool, and I knew a lot about Liverpool, but I didn't do everything. And since moving away from Liverpool, like if we go back to visit and I go and see my mum and dad, we'll go to those places that I otherwise probably wouldn't have gone to if I was living there. It's the same. We've got friends who live in London, and they'll tell me how amazing London is and what a wealth of things there is to do there, and there is. But they don't do any of them because they live in London. So, they see those things as the tourist things, and it's, there you go. That'd be my bit of wisdom then. Treat your local area as a tourist. That's really helpful. I think in some respects we've seen you just see creation again. I think part of it for me has been that recognition. We live in a climate that's got seasons. We live, sunsets are mind blowing and beautiful, and the idea of kinship and friendship, that's a really beautiful thing. The idea of touch and hugging, we really miss that. All that sort of stuff is just there's been so much to learn from doing that. So that is, I think, even though I led you down a difficult path by saying give us some wise insight, I think you've met the challenge. It is insightful. No worries. In fact, we talked about sound effects before, didn't we? And I forgot about the sound effect machine. So that's definitely worth a moment. Is that applause, or is that somebody twisting bubble wrap? It's heartfelt applause. Thank you. For a great answer. And it wasn't because you haven't been super interested all the way through. It was what happens again. I put the sound effects, I'm waving the sound effects machine at Matt here for the listener. I just put it at the other side of the desk and forgot about it again. So you've been super insightful the whole time. My last question is, I know that you're a Christian, and I'm just kind of wondering how you've got on with faith in this. What role has faith played for you? How's it going? How's it gone? Those sorts of things. This probably hasn't changed during lockdown. I'm not a very good Christian in practice. Like, again, it's just a cliche. I'm just a cliche in that I don't pray as often as I should. I don't read the Bible as often as I should. I don't go to God quick enough with problems. Yeah, just all the cliches, all the things that happen as a result of being a fallen human being. I tick all those boxes, and that I don't think that's changed during lockdown. Like, our situations have become different, circumstances have maybe changed slightly, but I'm still the same guy. Still not. I think I've contemplated God and God working things out a bit more, probably. Yeah, there's been more time to think for some. Yeah, maybe not for everyone, but there's been more time to think about what effect God is having in various situations. I think I've got a bit quicker at doing that. Not necessarily coming to any conclusion, but at least thinking, where is God in this? What is supposed to be going on here? But no, like so many things, I should have got better at during lockdown. I've got more time. I should probably spend more of that time reading about God, and I rarely get around to doing that. I've been at home more. I'm putting the boys to bed more often. Like, this is the first year in my working life. Well, it's the first year since I was 18 that I haven't had to work away from home. So I've had a full year of being in my own bed every night, and with that has come like putting the boys to bed every night, and we pray with them as they go before they go to sleep. And I've enjoyed that more and more. I've enjoyed it's a really childish practice, isn't it? But it's a good one. It's just a good practice. Just thanking God for the things of the day, telling him if you're worried about something, asking for something you need.
So this answer sounds,
and it seems really
like
childish. They've become my excuse to be childish in that, to go back to that simple approach to just talking to God at least once a day.
Well, you call it childish. I wonder if it's childlike faith. It sounds to me like similarly with the lessons of lockdown, you've sort of learned, or you've encountered, you've been humble enough to say, oh, I've not learned this, I'm encountering this, that some of the simple habits such as giving thanks, which I think is actually, it's appropriate that we do it, but it's also so good for your health, just to sort of be a thankful person and to sort of remember that you can be thankful, but also just the rhythm of putting kids to bed, which is, as you've acknowledged, is a blessing and not everybody can do, and it's part of life. But there is this fabulous lessons for you if you can be thankful for a year where you've been able to pray with them a little bit more, and there's the lessons from Deuteronomy 6 that just really encourage us to just shape our kids' worldview with godly things. If you boil it down, I think that's kind of what Deuteronomy 6 is saying. And I think just to have the privilege of doing that and being able to go, oh, actually, that's a really good thing, isn't it? It's just a really simple thing. Being aware to be thankful and being conscious of my family. It's a really simple thing, but actually it's huge. It's a huge thing, and probably will be a huge thing to look back on. I think lockdown is going to be one of those things that you look back on and go, oh, so I did these sorts of things. These were the sorts of things I did, and they really, whether they counted or not, be that sort of thing. That's really helpful.
I think with being around the kids, it's definitely helped. All of that old Jewish tradition of talking about these things when you sit in your house. When you lie down, when you rise, all of that, we're getting to do that. I'm getting to do that more because in previous years I'd have been away for, sometimes like 6 months of the year, and you just don't get that routine of but just being around each other more and find myself in circumstances where I go, oh, I know what you can do about that. There's a really simple biblical truth that I can tell my kids, and in telling them that, I think, oh yeah, I should be doing that.
How often? How often in your life that's going to happen where your kids throw back the lesson on you? Mr. Lewney, it's been so cool to be locked in with you. You've described yourself in many ways, and it's been so honest, and it's been super helpful. And I've never seen you as, I see you as the antithesis of a cliche, to be honest. I see you as kind of unique.
Oh, that's nice. I'll take that.
I
don't want to be the cliche.
No, and I don't think you are, but I think the overspill of your honesty has been really insightful. Thank you for listening to this episode of Locked In With. You've been locked in with Matt Lewney and Ash Gibson. Have a great week. Thanks for listening.